love to put on book jackets, especially for mysteries and thrillers, you know, nothing is as it seems, you know? And they did that because can qualify as a thriller, Flash House, and they put that as part of the marketing slogan. But the more I thought about it, the more I think in any good book, nothing is as it seems. I mean, that is why we read fiction, because for that surprise every time you turn a corner. It doesn't have to be a mystery or a thriller or a suspense novel, but you have to show us that nothing is as it seems in the world in which we live, and no one is as they seem.
I guess I came at the whole thing in a very different way, because I wasn't writing about a particular time. I was sort of writing about the times, and I guess you could say I was focusing on two kids who were for the most part impoverished and parentless and wandering through the various times, and I was always curious about them. And then I was thinking about certain times. I was thinking about the civil rights movement, and I was thinking about the Civil War, and then I realized that I was seeing these two kids that they existed in all of these times. They existed in the Civil War, they existed at the turn of the century, the Roaring '20s, all the way on. So for me, I began to look into the history of their particular lives. And then, I guess this is the thing that turned my whole novel around, was as you start to fall into history, you start to realize how fractured it is. And we draw these very neat lines. We can follow movements, and we can follow, certain key events. We can focus in on wars. But the thing that was so staggering for me, really, ultimately, was how everyone in every time has this very particular relationship to history. Sometimes we are involved in that history directly. Sometimes we are the cause of that history. Sometimes we are the victims of that history. And sometimes we have nothing at all to do with that history. We're sitting here at a panel drinking water while God knows what is happening, in the Middle East or in a certain place. There's someone who's having a birthday party while someone else is being shot under a truck in Mississippi. And for me, my experience, and it was more of a wrestling match, and it was actually emotionally difficult, was to explore what it's like when there's a historical event that seems like a compelling narrative that you want to hold on to, even if it's something as big as Pearl Harbor, and yet at the same time, there's something going on in a little village in Nebraska that's about a pie contest or whatnot, and how we can relate to that, which I think comes back to what a lot of the points are about complexity, is that there are always these contradictions. We seem to think that someone was alive in the 40s, so they know all about the war. And they didn't know anything about the war. They were at a restaurant. They knew nothing about the Holocaust. They had some vague idea that there was killing over there, and I think, God, that's so berserk, right? And then I'm at a West Hollywood coffee shop, and I realize, my God, I don't even know what's going on over there in the Middle East and what's happening every single day. And so for me, my story in Only Revolutions was really more, not just about the history, but about our relationship to history and how we have to navigate that, and when we become responsible for it and when we are irresponsible for it, and when we have to say something and when we can't do anything. And that in itself was a gut-wrenching process, but it was worth it.
I think that Leslie brings up a good point, because I think no matter whether